fellow Planeswalkers, I'm James, and today we don't have Paul with us. We've got our friend Corey from the Commander crew.
Hello, that's me.
And today, this week on the podcast, it's throwing me way off. This week on the podcast, we're going to be discussing September 21 quarterly update article from the Rules Committee. But before we do that, we have our upkeep trigger to get into. We have our Patreon. I want to thank all of our patrons for supporting. You guys help us keep the lights on here in the studio and keep us fed, I guess. If you want to become a patron, you can do that at commanderatarms.com/commanderatarms. I think I said that, commanderatarms.com. It's patreon.com/commanderatarms. Go and sub, go and do the things. Help us create more content for your eyes and your ears. Let's get into Mail Day and interesting finds. Corey, yes. Do you have anything that you have found recently or bought recently?
To be completely honest, I haven't gotten anything. Like, I just got a new job, so I just finally got paid for the first time, like last week. So I haven't had any crazy mail days. I haven't gotten anything insane since the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms came out. So unfortunately, unless you want to count some cool Chilling Reign Pokemon cards that I got with my nephew, I got nothing. I got nothing, James, and it's very sad.
I mean, I totally understand that. I also haven't gotten anything recently either. So we're kind of at the point now where maybe we need to pick up some of the new set Midnight Hunt, and we can talk about that later. So I'm going to plug the YouTube channel a little bit here. We have a YouTube channel. Go and check it out. Go and subscribe. Go and check us out. Hit the like button. We just got a new video out there, which is Mirasil, the Pretender deck. I know it's been a while since we've released a new video. That's our bad. We've having some scheduling issues coming up with Paul, which is why he's not able to be here right now, and that's why we've got Corey. So I'm happy to have you here, man, and I'm really, really glad that you were able to be available to do this episode with me, because I really wanted to talk about this topic, and it's one that I know Paul wanted to be here for because it is one of his commanders that I know he's been screaming about recently and for quite a while now. But yeah, go check us out on YouTube, and after that we have Play of the Week. Corey, do you have any plays of the week at all, my dude?
Yeah, I do. So myself and James were in a game with a couple of fine folk, and I was able to pop off and Expropriate. For those of you who don't know, Expropriate is a 9-mana sorcery that has Council's Will, and it says, starting with you, each player votes for time or money. For each time vote, take an extra turn. After this one, for each money vote, gain control of a permanent that opponent owns or controls or whatever. And I was able to pop that off, and everybody gave me an extra turn, which is the wrong move, because I was then able to swiftly take out the remainder of the table with those 2 or 3 extra turns. And yeah, that was a fine moment in my Expropriate career. One of the best Expropriates I've probably cast in a long time. So yeah.
I mean, we didn't do it on purpose. It was just more of the fact that, like, it was probably better to give you the extra turn than it was to take a permanent of ours.
Well, I don't think I would have won. I don't think I would have won had you guys given me permanents.
Probably very true, but still, let's be honest.
I think I would have ended up, if you didn't give me the extra turns and just let me choose a permanent, there's a solid chance I would have killed myself with Usuri. Because, like, I was not getting great Usuri rolls that game. And, like, yeah, the extra turns was what got me the ability to get Oakwon and Zender Split, which is what ultimately killed you guys. So, like, if I didn't have the extra turns, I think it would have taken me a little longer to win, and I probably wouldn't have.
I mean, that's fair. I understand that. But still, I don't mind watching someone else go off on Magic, because I know I do it a lot. And I know Paul gets on here and says that I'm a monster and that he enables me to play Magic at a different level now than when I started. And I mean, it was fun. I was totally fine with it, honestly. So yeah, I mean, let's, I don't really have a play of the week because, I mean, that was my play of the week. And let's get into main phase 1 here, shall we? We have something very interesting to talk about. It literally just happened the day that we are recording this. I'm not sure when this one's going to come out, if it's going to come out early or not. If it has, woo, I got it out early. If it hasn't, I tried my best. So as I mentioned before, we have the So as I mentioned before, the upkeep, I should say, Sheldon Menery, who is the godfather of our format and I want to say he's the head of the rules committee, released the September 2021 quarterly update article. And within that article, we found out that we have some bans and some unbans. So we're going to be talking about those cards. There's 2 of them here today. And I will be linking the article in the show notes below. So if you want to follow along with that, because we'll be referencing that article a lot this episode. So if you want to follow along, you totally can. If you want to read it, go ahead. We're not going to cover literally every single thing that Sheldon says, but we're going to cover like the big main plot points of the article. And I guess the first thing we're going to talk about here is the boring nitty gritty of things, is the retirement of Rule 10. So Rule 10, which states that the commanders were subject to the legend rule, and as legend rules kind of changed and become more easier to understand for players, and now it's just literally a part of the Magic the Gathering game, as of Rule 704.5J, which basically states that if a player controls 2 or more legendary permanents with the same name, that player chooses one of them, and the rest are put into their owner's graveyards. That is just, I guess, common knowledge for everybody now who plays Commander. So it's really just an administrative change. Nothing's going to change gameplay-wise whatsoever. So this is kind of just getting rid of 1 rule and adding it. So now there's 10 rules of Commander. We have the 10 commandments of Commander, and I coined that term right now.
Oh boy.
That's what I'm going with. The 10 commandments of Commander. But we have our first little topic here that we're going to talk about. And we just did a video all about this over on the Commander Crew YouTube channel. So go and check those guys out, where we did our short little hot takes on the cards. And the first one here is Wildfire is unbanned. Wildfire is a 6 red, so 9 mana sorcery that says exile all permanents, exile all hands, and put your all life totals to 1. I should have brought it up. I don't know why I didn't bring it up before the episode. Here I am thinking I'd have all the information in front of me that I needed, and I didn't even have the card that I was supposed to be talking about. So, Corey, while I bring this up real quick, what's your thoughts on Wildfire?
My thought on Worldfire is that I didn't know what it was until maybe 7 hours ago. This was never a card that was on my radar, and it very well could have been because it was banned, and it just never, never like naturally came up in deck building or like on EDH Rec, things like that, because I do use EDH Rec quite a bit. It's cool. It's a neat card. It's a neat sorcery. It costs a ton of mana, and it's very niche. It seems like it's going to be a card that, certain maybe mono red decks want to play. We talked a little bit about this on the video we just did, but I could see this going in my Vial Smasher Thrasios big mana chaos deck. But bringing my life total down to 1 is not something I typically want to do all the time, so maybe this isn't even something for that, I don't think. So, it's a cool card and all, but honestly, I didn't even know it existed until about 7 hours ago, so take it or leave it. That's cool, it's not cool. I'm very indifferent.
Yeah, I'm about the same. I'm kind of in the middle of the road with this card. As I was explaining before, Corey went off on his thoughts on it. Yeah, so it's a sorcery that exiles all permanents, exiles all cards from all hands and graveyards, and each player's life becomes 1. Now, I was scrolling through Twitter, and I can't take, the credit for this little interaction, but if you cast Wildfire and then play Jeska Thrice Reborn, you can then minus her by 1 and kill the board. You easy win con for 12 mana. And I know Godo decks are already playing Treasonous Ogre. So if you can ritual yourself into Treasonous Ogre and then pay 3 life to add 1 mana or 1 red mana to your mana pool, you pay 36 life. You have 12 mana, you cast Wildfire, you're floating the other mana you needed. You need to cast Jeska, you cast Jeska, you win the game. That is a niche interaction that you're probably never going to see, ever, honestly. So Sheldon thinks also, he does mention in the article that he thinks Biorhythm and Coalition Victory are still ban-worthy. for the sake that you have to deal with them on the spot. If you don't have the appropriate interaction, you will lose on the spot, which is, I mean, that's the biggest feels bad, I reckon, is there's no way to really deal with Biorhythm. That's the I believe it's 9 mana or 8 mana or something to basically set your life totals equal to the amount of creatures you have. And you're in mono green, you have dorks, those things fuel your mana and then also keep you safe from Biorhythm. Keep it banned 100%. And Coalition Victory is pretty much the same thing. It says, I believe it's at the beginning of your upkeep, or if you own like permanents equal to all the colors and all the lands.
So yeah, it said Coalition Victory is 3 in Wooburg for sorcery that says you win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color.
Yeah, so just on the spot, I win the game. And that's kind of what they're like, even though they're trying to introduce more and more big, flashy mana spells, I think these two are definitely ones that need to stay on the ban list 100%. I did say in episodes before, and I had a back and forth with Paul about this, about like, maybe Biorhythm's okay. It's not as bad as we really think it is, but now thinking about it in the way that if you were to just play mono green and play Biorhythm, and you'd be fine if you're resolving a Biorhythm to have your life total turn to, let's say, 10. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Lathril, Blade of the Elves, and that thing spews out like creatures so quickly that if I could play Biorhythm in that deck, it would be a win con, 100%.
Yeah. So how do you feel then about like Shaman of the Forgotten Ways? So it's the creature that has this ability stapled onto it.
I think it's fine because you can literally see it coming. Because it has to be on the board, unless you have haste effects, which I mean are easy to have in mono green. With we have the bridge, the 2 mana bridge that taps and gives all things haste. As long as you have that on the board first, and then Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, you can't really see it coming. But that's a little bit more of a setup than just resolving one spell. So, the same thing could be said about Coalition Victory. We have Happily Ever After, which is the white enchantment that came out of Throne of Eldraine, which pretty much is the same thing, but it is an upkeep trigger, so you can literally see it on the board and have a chance to react to it. I think the fact that these are just, I resolve this spell to win the game on the spot. If you don't have a counterspell in hand, if you didn't leave up like any kind of interaction, you just lose on the spot. And that's kind of where Sheldon, I can see Sheldon's like thought process with that one as I read the article. I did read it a couple of times, and I wrote my own thoughts in a Google Doc, which we call the script. As Corey was kind of scared about having to use a script for this episode.
Way to call! I told you that confidence, James.
Nah, man, everything's on the table, bro.
I didn't like it.
Everything's literally on the table. But in the same way that Wildfire is unbanned, talking about cards that should stay on the ban list, that is almost in the same vein as Wildfire is Sway of the Stars, and that was something that he said that should stay on the ban list because of the fact that yes, it's a lot of mana, but it's in blue, which he didn't say, but I'm saying that it's in blue. You have ways to draw cards really effectively in blue, and the fact that it also refuels your hand to then let you get into more things that could possibly like hinder your opponents further, or you could be one of your I win spells on the spot.
Yeah, so this is another card that has never been on my radar. And again, I think I'm actually looking at the ban list right now, and a lot of these are cards that like I never would have ever looked at. So yeah, Sway of Stars. I mean, that's a fun card. I don't like that it's permanent. All your permanents go into your graveyard, or go shuffled in. That's really interesting. And then your life total becomes 7.
Yeah.
I can see this easily being busted.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And taken advantage of. So yeah, I get this being on there.
Yeah, it is a card that's never coming off the ban list. I feel like Biorhythm, Coalition Victory, and Sway of the Stars will never come off the ban list because they're too easily abusable. So that's pretty much where I sit on this first card here, and we're gonna get into the second card very shortly. It's going to be a very short first half because, I mean, it's a sorcery. It's a big mana dork sorcery. I mean, no one's really going to care about it. You're probably never going to see it. It was kind of a little lackluster, but we're all here for the next part, so that is coming up right now. So we're going to move through to our combat phase here, and we're going to hear a message from our sponsors right now. Welcome back from that ad break. We're going to get into our main phase 2 here, where we're pretty much going to get into the meat and potatoes of this deck, and the whole reason why we are here, and that reason is we've got a banned card. And it's a big banned card. It is a commander. It is it is the most played commander in all of EDH Rec, and that is Golos Tireless Pilgrim. He got banned, everyone. And I'm super okay with it, but I'm also a little bit upset. I'm upset for the reasons that I don't really play it. I know you play it, Corey. I know we discussed this a little bit on your video. I know Paul plays it. He has 2 Golos decks. He's got an Artifacts deck and an enchantment deck as well. But he's been saying since about episode 20 of the podcast that it should be banned 100%. Even before we did the Golos Tireless Milgram deck, which was our mill-themed Golos deck, he was like, yeah, this card should be 100% banned. It kind of just, it allows you to do too many things. Doesn't matter what you want to do in Commander, you get to do it with Golos. So what really makes him ban-worthy, do you reckon, Corey?
Everything.
Yeah?
Absolutely everything about him makes him ban-worthy. And I'm coming from the camp of, I had a Golos deck. I enjoyed my Golos deck. I played it quite a bit when I could. And I'm a degenerate, and I had a Golos Extra Turns deck that was built because we used to play with somebody who, complained about us taking long turns, and then they would end up taking like literally 45-minute turns, and our turns would be like 5-10 minute, maybe not 5-10 minutes. That seems extreme, but whatever. It came of frustration through a friend of ours, and yeah, I put together this Golos Extra Turns deck. It had 13 or 14 extra turn spells. It had copy effects. It had clone effects. It had tutors. It had OG dual lands. I put money into this thing. And basically, if you can get Golos out, and this goes for any Golos build, I feel, if you can get Golos out, especially quickly with ramp spells, mana rocks, whatever, and you start tutoring out your lands, as soon as you get to that 7 mana, heaven forbid you have a Training Ground or a Hearthstone or something like that out, you can just start pumping out free spells that, in my case, with Extra Turns Golos, I could then chain extra turns together over and over and over and over again to the point where no one could play. And it was literally just me waiting to get big flyers on the board that I could beat people's faces with. And once you get to that point, and again, I feel like this goes for any Golos build, whether it be enchantments or, stacks or anything, whatever. Once you get to that Golos mana where you can activate his ability, you've pretty much won the game. Even if people can remove Golos, it's so easy to get him back on the board and then use his ability again that you're going to be able to get ahead so fast where your opponents are going to be so stuck behind either just trying to remove Golos each turn or trying to deal with what you're pumping out that you're going to get so much value out of it. It's impossible for your opponents to catch up. So that, for me, is why I feel like this card did deserve. Do I like that it got banned? No. Do I think it deserved to get banned? Absolutely.
Very much agree with you on that one. The fact that he is just 5 generic mana with a very strong ETB that go get you any land out of your deck, no matter what it is. It's any land and an activated ability that kind of gets around timing restrictions because it doesn't all say it's not casting either, it's playing. So if you rip a land off the top, usually that's pretty bad thing because you exile your lands and you no longer have a land drop for the next turn. With Golos, just activate him, get 2 spells and a land, play the land, cast the 2 spells at sorcery speed if you want to. That's pretty much why he got banned, as well as maybe the fact that it kind of homogenizes all of the build around. I mean, you want to do anything in Magic the Gathering, and you want to do anything in Commander, doesn't matter what it is, play Golos. If you want to play, I don't know, Oops All Legendaries, play Golos. You want to play a themed deck, a Dune deck, anything that you want to play, you just play Golos because he gives you access to every single color. You can play the best cards in all of Wooburg, and you don't have the downside of having an awkward / janky mana base that kind of, hurts you a little bit by, requiring you to do so much filtering through signets or, filter lands or having duels or anything else. You can literally play you could throw like maybe a $5, $10. I mean, you could almost play all basics. And I bet you by turn 7, you would have Golos mana, which is where you should be with Golos. And that's playing basics. We all have access to basics. They come in every pack now.
100%.
And if you don't have basics, I'm very sure that your LGS will have a crap ton of basics that you can just go and pick through and grab the ones that you want and take them home, chuck them in a Golos deck, or you could have chucked them in a Golos deck, but not anymore. And then, boom, you're off to the races. You're playing whatever you want in Commander.
And if you don't have basic lands, you're probably playing the Pokemon TCG, so you should look at your cards.
Where then you just use your Pokemon TCG lands.
Use your energies.
Lands. Yeah, use your energies as lands.
Use your energies as lands. You can still do it. And then if you're still not playing that, you're probably playing Flesh and Blood.
Which isn't bad, but we're here to talk about Commander. This is, unfortunately, we're not a Flesh and Blood podcast. It's not a game that I haven't got into yet. I've looked at it a little bit. I still don't quite understand it. I'm a little bit,
we'll talk about that.
Into another TCG game, but anyway, that's
we can talk about that later.
Yeah, totally.
We can talk about that later because I actually went out today to go buy some, but we'll talk about that later. Hold on. Spoiler alert: the game store I went to didn't have any, so I didn't get any. But I did something I'm interested in. So whatever.
Is that is that a game you can play over webcam?
Yeah, I think so. I totally think so. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Whatever. Well, we can discuss.
Yeah, definitely
at a later date, sir.
Definitely.
Back to the boy.
Yeah, so I mean, you want to play anything, play Golos. And I know Paul would be here rallying behind us saying 100% ban him. I had a couple questions here, but I think we've kind of really answered them. The first one was do you think Golos should be banned? Is there in any world or any way do you think that he could have stayed unbanned? I know the last time Sheldon wanted to ban Hullbreacher, he was talking about wheels being the issue and kind of Hullbreacher being the key to that wheel kind of combo thing. Do you think at any point they could have banned other things that helped fuel Golos, or do you reckon Golos was just the best thing to ban?
Unfortunately, I think Golos was the jade key here. Golos was the thing that was being abused. In a perfect world, I'm in the headspace of I don't like bans in general. Especially again, it's funny. I'm kind of a hypocrite because the older ban lists I could care less about. I don't know the cards. I don't pay attention to them. I kind of don't even know that they exist, like I mentioned earlier. But with things like Iona and Paradox Engine, Hullbreacher, all these cards we're seeing getting banned recently, the ones I played with, I guess, I'm kind of bummed about the bans in general. But again, that's in a perfect world. Obviously, we don't live in a perfect world. Golos, is there a scenario where he wasn't banned? Or shouldn't be banned? I don't think so. Unfortunately, even with lower tier decks, I feel it was so easy. So for example, let me back up a little bit. For example, with that extra turns deck, obviously people didn't like it because it turned into a game of solitaire. I 100% get that. I didn't play it for a long time because of that. I understand people don't like extra turns, so I never played it. What I ended up doing was taking out most of the extra turn spells. I left one or two in there. And I ended up putting in a lot of the, this was around Ikoria. I ended up putting a ton of the Eerie Ultimatums and that big fancy Teamer one that gets stuff out of your library. I ended up putting those spells in there, and even with those lower, I guess they're not lower tier spells, but taking out extra turns for big flasher spells, the value you get is still obnoxiously good. So gun to my head, is there a world where Golos shouldn't have been banned? I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's just so easy to use his ability to bust anything, even tribal themes. You could make a dinosaur deck with Golos with all 5 colors and just vomit out dinosaurs and have such an obnoxious board presence that unless you have board wipes, people aren't going to know what to do. So I know I kind of went off there a little bit, but I really don't think, I think Golos is the thing being abused. I don't think there's the expropriate isn't the thing being abused. Golos was what made expropriate good because I could just cast it for free using his ability. Expropriate.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I'm just like, I'm thinking like, well, for 7 mana, 2 generic and
Golos
Wubo,
is the problem here.
You can cast Expropriate for free. You can cast, and then you get 2 other spells. So you get a 2 mana reduction on a 9 mana spell, and you get 2 extra things out of it as well. That is completely busted. And like that's an effect that you would get for 9 mana to cast 1 spell. And now you're getting 3 things. And they're not even spells, like you could get lands or whatever, like I understand that. In maybe a feels bad Golos, you'd activate Golos for 7 mana and get 3 lands. Alright.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me paint you a picture that is going to guarantee make your stomach like turn. Ready? This is something that has happened. Like I've made this happen. So you activate Golos, right? You flip over we'll say a Nexus of Fate, a land, and then a little card called Amanatu's Augury. And I don't know if you know what Amanatu's Augury does, but it's a 8 mana sorcery that says exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into the battlefield, and then until end of turn for each non-land card type, you may cast that from among the exiled cards without paying its mana cost. So from the Amanatu's Augury, you do that one first in the stack order. You then get like Time Stretch, a Narset's Reversal, an Expropriate, whatever else, a creature. You get like some dragon and the land or whatever, and a couple of artifacts. So now you can use that Narset's Reversal on the Expropriate, and then you can do the, Nexus of Fate from the original Golos. You can play the land from Amanatu's Augury, play the land from Golos, play the artifact, play the dragon. You've now done you've gotten however many extra turns you get from Expropriate. You've gotten the extra turn from Nexus of Fate. You've got your dragon, you got your artifacts, and now you have 4 extra turns potentially to mess around and do other stuff. This is a real scenario with Golos. This is a real thing that can happen. That's why this is an issue, I think.
It is. It's ridiculously busted. And I agree with you. I mean, I haven't had that extensive experiences with Golos. The only really experiences I've had is playing the Golos Tireless Milgram deck, which Paul and I put together, which I very much contained myself by saying Golos is a very strong commander. I'm going to fix this by having all of my lands come in tapped, and maybe, just maybe, I'll put in an Amulet of Vigor to make sure they come in untapped. But still, 99.9% of the time I played that deck, all my lands would come in tapped, and I would be doing Golos shenanigans on at least turn 9. And I feel like that's a little fairer of amount of turns to be doing broken. I'm going to cast things off top of my library for free. And with the amount of top deck manipulation we have in Commander, I mean, you've got Sylvan Library, you've got Sensei's Divining Top, you've got Brainstorm, Brainstone. There's some really old ones that are one of our
Scroll Rack.
Yeah, as well. There's a lot more old ones as well. I know there is one of our old patrons who still supports the show in other ways. She has I can't remember who the commander was, but it's all about top deck. It's a counterbalance deck, and it's all about manipulating the top of the library. And she uses literally everything that says, you can put things back or draw them and put them back. So there are a couple of old ones you could do to kind of manipulate the top deck. But even just with Sylvan Library and Sensei's Divining Top, you can set yourself up for Golos turns every single time you want to activate him. And I mean, the fact is you can activate him. You don't even have to tap. You can activate him on other people's turns. I mean, granted, you can't cast sorceries, but if you have a way to top deck, it's not top deck, sorry. If you have a way to manipulate the top with Sensei's Divining Top, you can then set it up so that you're ripping, three cards off the top. Awesome. You're gonna know what they are. You can do it at instant speed if you have like a counter spell on top, which I never really saw the reason of playing counter spells or instant speed spells in Golos in the way that I was playing it. But I mean, it's totally fair. You could do that. You could throw removal on top of your library and throw it down. I mean, it's insane the amount of value that one card can generate, and like the fact that he is 5 generic mana. He gets you a land and then lets you play the game for free. It's pretty much just once you resolve him, if no one removes him, you win the game.
Like I said earlier, he's the Jade Key. He's the only piece you need to find Halliday's Easter egg. It's a gross card. It's such a good commander, but it's such a gross commander. I don't know.
Yeah, and like the fact that it kind of like we said before, it homogenizes deck building and kind of takes away the fun theme aspect of finding maybe like a less desirable legendary commander or a legendary card that you want to play that you are allowed to play that's not on the ban list. And then building around that to be like, oh, this is my janky win-loss deck where I only have access to 3 colors and I have to try and fix them because my commander costs, double red, double white, and double blue. I don't know what commander that is. They're just colors at the top of my head. Probably no commander ever had that weird of a casting cost. But still, like, it's 5 generic mana, man. Soul Ring Signet. Do another Signet. You're good. You're golden. Off to the races.
Well, and I can't remember the name of it. Yeah. It's a white enchantment that says you can put a card from your hand on top of your library to prevent damage from a black or a red source. Like, and you just do that whenever you want. There's no cost. The cost to prevent the damage is placing a card from your hand on top of your library. Like, that's again, like going back to how easy it is to manipulate the top of your deck. I wish I could remember it's not Pestilence, but it's like, it begins with a P and it's driving me crazy. I can't think of it. It's a white enchantment.
Oh man. This is the, I wouldn't say curse, but like, this is the podcast thing. This is what happens to Paul and I every time we record. Yeah. I always have all the notes in front of me that I need. I know what I'm going to say. Well, not really know what I'm going to say, but I know what I'm going to get about to. And then all of a sudden he throws a wrench in it. And it's like, I don't know what this card is at all. And we quickly go to Scryfall and try to figure out what it could be. And then I pop it up on screen later.
I'm so sorry I did this.
No, man, it's totally fine. Like, I know you're a little newer to podcasting than I am, as your go-to content creation is video content, which, yeah.
Sorry, I'm still trying to search for it.
No, you're good. As we kind of progress through this a little bit, that was the question. Do you think Golos should be banned? And I think we both came to the yes. I don't think there's anyone. I think the other people who would really say no, and I'm going to say this now. I was going to say it later on at the end of the episode, but I'm going to say this now. And I think I just want to. I guess I want to apologize, not on the behalf of like the RC or anything, because that's not my place. But my place is just to say, hey, look, I know we all had Golos decks, and he's a pretty recent commander. He came out in M20. There was a set that I remember picking up a couple packs. I never actually pulled my own Golos. I was given a Golos off a friend because he was like, I'm never going to play this card, and gave it to me. And I just want to, I want to say, sorry to everyone who had their decks disrupted and they had now have to pull apart not even a brand new deck. They had to pull apart a whole deck that they've spent money and poured time into and figured out how it's going to work and played it and had all this fun experience with. I understand it. I understand the frustration that you've got. And maybe you bought cards that were specific for that commander deck, which, I mean, it's everything that is just good in every color, that you may not be able to repurpose in other decks. I mean, maybe you don't play any like top deck manipulation in other decks. Maybe it's just your Golos deck. I know, like we said, it is the number 1 rated commander on EDH Rec, and that is essentially it's the go-to tool to help you build decks. Just to kind of get a sense of an idea of what is a good card to put in said deck. And for them to ban the number 1 card on EDH Rec, I think is something that doesn't come lightheartedly. And I know that this was probably met with a lot of frustration and anger towards Sheldon and the rest of the rules committee, but I think for the health of the format, going forward, this is a good decision. The next question I was going to ask and bring up with you, Corey, was, is he really the problem the Rules Committee made him out to be in their article? To which I kind of answered yes.
I mean, yeah, that goes back to everything I just said. You know, it's again, I kind of feel like a hypocrite because on one hand, I don't think he should have been like, I don't believe in like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to find my words here and like step very, lightly because like you mentioned, like people are upset about this and people are, rightfully kind of, ticked off. Because maybe this was their pet deck. Maybe this was the deck that they put a ton of money into and a ton of time. And whether it was busted or not, like, now that whole, feeling is kind of unvalidated because it just got taken away from him and stripped away from him. But, on that same token, do I think, he's as big of a problem as they made him out to be? I don't think so. I do believe he deserves, for the right reasons he has gotten banned, but if I think back, how many Golos decks have I gone up against in the last year? I would say with Golos being the main commander, I've probably only gone up against 2. So like it never became a thing where like I go on play EDH or like even on our stream or like hanging out with you guys. I'm never like, oh man, someone's going to play Golos today. Like it was never like a looming fear. So was he this like monster in the closet that they made him out to sound? I don't think so. But again, when you really dig into it, because of the value, because of how easy it is to break it, and the banning to me makes sense. So yeah, I wish he didn't get banned. On one hand, because he is a fun commander, and again, like you said, there's probably going to be a lot of feel bads because people probably put a lot of money into this deck. And I found that enchantment I was just looking for. So, yeah, people are going to be, upset because they put a lot of money into this. They put a lot of time into this deck. And, we talked in the last video we did about Rule 0, which I'm sure you'll go into a little bit more. So, I won't go too deep into that just yet. But, yeah, he wasn't the monster in the closet that I think that they made him out to be. But, again, 100% agree with the banning still, unfortunately.
So what was the enchantment?
The enchantment's called Penance. It is 2 and a white for an enchantment. Choose a card from your hand and put that card on top of your library. Prevent all damage from a black or a red source. So the only gripe with this is there needs to be a black or a red source for you to target. But that's not generally hard. There's going to be probably a black-red player or, one of the two spewing across the board. And yeah, you can literally, if you have a bunch of, spells you want to cast for free in your hand, play Penance. And then for free, you just, the cost to prevent the damage is putting the card from your hand onto the top of your library.
Busted. So busted.
Busted. As the kids would say, it's bussin', but busted. I'm sold.
I feel that.
I'm in my 30s.
I feel that as well. I feel it in my soul.
Yeah. So Penance is if you're playing anything that cares about the top of your library, Penance and white that has access to white, Penance is a really good card. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I mean with the amount that they're pushing red and black commanders like Prosper Tomebound and the Karazazak, I think it's called, which is the monster version, the monster Rakdos commander, the Beholder that was in there.
Yep.
And the other, there's the painter guy as well. I cannot remember his name. Kalane, I believe his name is. Yeah, the amount that they're pushing like Rakdos colored commanders, that'd be a really good pickup for pretty much any deck. I mean, you're going to draw that card again anyway, but I mean, if you want to, if you don't want to die, then just put the card on top and just play it later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a cost, really.
That's my corner case hidden gem card. Penance. That should be something that you put in like hidden gem cards.
I'd say that's gonna be I'm gonna consider that. That's a good thing.
I don't know. I don't want to come in here and start changing the format around. This isn't my show. I'm just saying it's a good thing. But okay, so I have a question for you, James.
Yes.
It's not on your script, so
that's all right.
Heads up.
Hit me.
So Golos is gone. He's out.
Yeah.
Is there a commander you think can kind of take that spot of free value. That kind of maybe it's not 5 colors, maybe it's close, maybe it's a 3 color or 4 color deck. Like, is there something you think that's going to kind of slide into this slot of free value, free spells kind of thing? Can you think of anything off the top? I have one. I can think of one off the top of my head. But I was curious if you think of any commander that might slide into this.
I think we might have the same idea of this one, and I would say that my next best bet for commanders.
If you say this card, I'm gonna pee my pants.
I don't know if it is. I mean, the card that I'm thinking of, I did talk a little bit about in the script in my notes to talk about here on the show. Would be Ramos Dragon Engine would be the card that I would talk about. That I would think would slide into being the next best thing, because I mean you can then cast things. You get like what is it? You get double Wooburg and things cost double Wooburg less or something. I mean it's a pretty busted card as well, and it's a good point to bring up because I mean that's another card that I think just watch out. That one might be in consideration to be banned as well because it kind of fits the same theme as Golos. But I'm kind of intrigued now to see, like, to find out what card you were thinking of.
Yeah. So before Golos, before my boy, I had a deck built around the commander Ynet Cryptic Sovereign.
Oh, Ynet is the it's the Esper colored ones that when it attacks you can cast. What is it? Odd.
So Flying Vigilance and Menace for 3/5. It costs 2 and Esper. Whenever Ynet Cryptic Sovereign attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If that card's converted mana cost is odd, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, you draw it. So this was what Golos Extra Turns came from. I had Ynet with, it was a little extra turn sub-theme, but it was mainly just like, big mana odd spells and like value odd spells. I think that if you want to scratch that itch of like top deck manipulation mixed with a little bit of free value, I think this is a really good.
That is definitely
you don't have all 5. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, no, I was just gonna say you don't have all 5 colors, so you're missing green and red, which kind of stinks. But it one of the issues that this tackles from what Sheldon talks about is you have to build within this shell of Esper, so you're a little bit more restricted, and you're restricted to the odd CMC, so you can't just go around throwing a bunch of busted spells in there. I think that this is an excellent. Personally, I think this is an excellent substitute.
It's a lot better than Ramos. It kind of got Ramos and Morafond a little mixed up there. So for anyone who's interested. We are recording this at almost midnight on the day that the cards were banned, and that's because the only time I could really get Corey to kind of be on the show with me. Otherwise, no, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I'm super happy to have you here, and I'm hoping that everyone who's listening is also happy to hear your voice. And we'll get through.
Hold on, let me read something. Let me read something for the people at home. To give them a taste of something to come potentially. Here we go. If you want some good voices here. The crucible yields what you have forged in your mind. You need only reach in and draw the masterwork forth.
Oh, I love it. So going back to our discussion about commanders that can kind of fill the slot of Golos, Ramos is a good contender, but maybe not as good as Ynet. It's 6 mana. It is 6 generic mana for a 4/4 flying legendary creature artifact dragon. That says whenever you cast a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Ramos Dragon Engine for each of that color, that spell's colors, and then you can remove 5 +1/+1 counters from Ramos and add double Wooburg. Activate this ability only once each turn. Now, that is text that I think should have gone on Golos. I believe the clause of this ability can only be activated once per turn would have definitely toned down Golos from being this extremely potent and prevalent commander in our format.
What if you think they also added at sorcery speed at the end there?
I think that would work as well. Would that mean that he would see as much play as he does? Maybe not. He might be, instead of being the top contender for like the most popular commander of all of EDH Rec, maybe he might be the third. Because, I mean, that's 2 massive clauses that you get. You only get it once per turn and at sorcery speed. That then, I think that puts a lot of shackles and puts the handcuffs on Golos a lot. Which actually probably wouldn't be a bad thing, because we wouldn't have seen a ban of him. He might have just been like, he's okay, he's not the greatest, but if they're willing to ban the most popular commander in all of EDH Rec, then what are they looking at doing next? Like, I'm kind of looking at my commanders going, I do play a lot of problematic commanders. Like, I played Daretti, Artifact, I played Tulane. I actually went through this thought process today that was like, oh man, if they ban Tulane because he's really strong, would I just change my deck to being Anima? Maybe I would. Not gonna lie, I probably, because I mean it's very similar in the strategy that Tulane wants to do, and I know everyone here who listens to this show is probably sick of me talking about Tulane, but right now I feel like it's pretty relevant because of the fact that we're talking about overpowered commanders in the way that Golos is. Another 5-color commander that doesn't require Wooburg to cast that we haven't really talked about yet is Kenrith the Returned King. Do you think he would ever be on the chopping block for bans?
No, I don't think so. He's too. I mean, again, yeah, you can kind of go any route you want, but I think he's generic enough where there's no one single win con for him that I can think of that would make him immediately ban worthy. Like, Golos has so many different win cons that you can just jam in there because you can, that Golos can get you to, where, someone like Kenrith, you don't even have to, I guess you technically don't have to cast Kenrith to, like, make all those things happen, but that should tell you right there why Kenrith doesn't really need to be banned, because you don't need to cast him to get the win, It's something where he's just I think he's a really good value enhancement to a 5-color deck, but like he doesn't force you to go in one direction. Not that Golos does either, but he doesn't. With Golos, again, you can use his ability to win, whereas or abuse his ability to win. Whereas Kenrith, yeah, you can abuse some of the activations, but not in a way that's going to immediately win you the game or make it unfun to play. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and I very much agree with you on that point. I know we also have Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. She only costs white to cast, but she also has but she's 5 colors, but only requires white to actually cast her, and she lets you go and get legendaries from your deck.
I've never played against Sisay, so,
and that's fine. I did when it was Shrines, when Shrines came out in M21, because we got the new shrines, and then we got the Sanctum of All, which is the 5-color shrine that doubles shrine activations, or shrine triggered abilities, sorry. But I don't think any of these are as bad as what Golos was. These don't really do the same thing that Golos did, and that's giving you 7 mana to get 3 spells on top of your deck. And if you have, like Corey said, if you've got that enchantment that he was talking about, or anything else at the top decks, you're good. You're golden. You Golos. You go Golos. You do the things. And
golden crisp.
Yeah. So I mean, coming back to my other point, I was kind of going through my decks, going which if this is to happen, like, I've got to pull my Golos deck apart now, which is fine because I kind of need the sleeves for elves, because elves are in some janky sleeves. No flame to my mate Ross who got them for me. I love those sleeves, and I'm going to use them again. They will be used, and I will use my sleeves. But I'm going to put elves in my dragon shields, and then I'm going to sleeve up a brand new commander in the old sleeves. And that's a little hint for what might be coming as our next Deck Tech YouTube video. So, Corey, as we kind of wrap up this episode here, did you have any final thoughts or anything else you want to kind of air out here about Golos, or maybe even Wildfire? Was there something that you didn't mention about Wildfire?
Yeah, specifically with Worldfire, I honestly don't give a shit about that card. I don't care. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear here. I don't care about Worldfire. The fact that it got unbanned is irrelevant to me. I don't think I'm going to ever see it, and if I do see it, I'm going to be like, oh, that's weird, and then I'm going to move on with my life. I'll play the next game, because obviously we're all dead. It doesn't matter. But no, I get Golos. I'm going to miss it. But also on the same vein, I had a Golos deck for I had it since it came out. And I could count on one hand probably the amount of times I played that deck. maybe 2 hands. So for me, it's understandable. I'm not missing anything. You know, it's not the end of the world for me. I'm not upset. I'm not going to go right to Sheldon on Twitter and chew his ear out or anything like that. And you shouldn't either. Honestly, not you specifically, but like people. Don't tweet at the rules committee and be all salty about it. Like at the end of the day, it's a game. And James mentioned, I'm sure people spent a lot of money on this deck and a lot of money on this commander. There are other good options out there. There are other good commanders out there. Funnel some of those resources into those commanders. Maybe buff out a couple other decks at this point. Now that you have a whole deck you got to take apart, just understand that the rules committee they're trying to make the game a better cohesive experience. And I can tell you from having a Golos deck to playing against busted Golos decks, like I'm okay with this. Like if I don't have to sit through another Golos like extreme weird combo that like cool are we dead? No, we gotta wait 25 more minutes. Okay, let's just finish it. Like I'll be fine. Ultimately, I'm bummed he got banned because I really did like my extra turns deck. But on the other hand, I 100% understand it. I 100% support it. And that's it. So hasta luego, Golos. Enjoy your pilgrimage wherever you're off to, and we'll see you when we see you.
He's going to retire to maybe Dominaria and just hang out, go to the beach a couple times, maybe sit in his little hut. He's kind of going to do the Thanos thing. And just like he's done what he did. He did what he did. He did what he came to do, and now he's going to retire. And he's no longer a tireless pilgrim. He will be a rested pilgrim.
Yeah, if you think about it, he snapped his finger for all 5 colors.
He did. He very much did.
That's it. He's all done. He used the stones to destroy the stones.
I know that personally on the Commander-at-Arms Discord server, if you want to play games with Golos, go for it, as long as there are extensive Rule Zero talks. And that's the most important part about all of this, is making sure that your deck is as transparent as possible, because, I mean, that's the only way we're going to be able to cultivate a fun and challenging experience for our players is by having those talks, making sure that all of our decks are on maybe around the same level, have those intention talks. Like, what is your deck intending to do? Like, are you intending to win turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, or turn 4? Like, if you are awesome, let's play that kind of game. If I'm coming in and I'm intending to play a game that's going for about 15 to 16 turns, maybe don't play something that's a little bit more powerful. Kind of find something that's a little bit more on that end of the spectrum, or even come to a compromise and play around 10 turns, because that's kind of where, we want to play for the night. But don't forget to have those intention Rule Zero talks. And like I said, the Command-at-Arms server will always allow Golos if it is transparent and you are not going to be sitting there for 45 minutes to an hour doing a combo that eventually may not even kill us in the end.
BMs, dude. Which I just learned what that means. I've been playing this game for 7 years and I just learned what BM means.
Bad manners. Oh, man. It takes me back to my old gaming days. But we're going to pass through our end step now. We're going to do a bit of a cleanup here. We're going to go to some shameless plugs. If you wanted to continue this discussion with myself, maybe, get Paul in on the discussion as well, you can do that at CMDR@Arms on Twitter and Instagram. You can find the YouTube channel at youtube.com/commander@arms. Go and subscribe, like videos, and leave a comment in the comment section below for the algorithm. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Help us out. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. It's way less than what Corey's got on his YouTube channel, but we're building ourselves up there. If you want to get a Commander-at-Arms t-shirt, you can do that at our link in the show notes below. That takes you to our Bad Fred Designs Etsy page, which hosts our Commander-at-Arms shirt. You can rep it across your chest. I wore mine while we recorded the video for Corey's YouTube channel, The Commander Crew, so go and check that out, and you can see me wearing my shirt, all in its pride and glory. If you want to buy cards online and support local game stores while having the cards shipped directly to your house and giving us a small little kickback, you can do that at tcgplayer.com/commanderatarms. If you want to support the show directly, you can do that at patreon.com/commanderatarms. All patrons get a Patreon shout out at the start and the end of the episode, as well as access to the Discord server and some added little perks in there as well. Maybe we might be doing some discounts on some merch that is maybe coming out very, very shortly. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe you do. Again, I want to thank Corey for coming on the show and helping us get this content out to you and filling in for Paul, who wasn't able to make it here. I appreciate it. I'm sure Paul definitely appreciates it. Corey, where can our listeners find you on the internet?
You can find us at a few different places. The main place, thecommandercrew.com, will bring you to our website where you can get access to our YouTube, our Twitch, where we stream at least every Sunday at about 8 to 9 p.m. Either at 8 or 9 p.m. till about midnight or 1 a.m. We also do like a bonus stream during the week if our work schedules kind of work out that way, but we mainly do YouTube stuff. So yeah, thecommandercrew.com, you can get to our YouTube, you can get to our Twitch, also all of our affiliate links and stuff like that. But yeah, so commanderatarmspod.com or youtube.com/thecommandercrew, twitch.tv/thecommandercrew, Twitter, you can find us on Instagram, all your typical social media platforms. Anywhere your eyeballs like to consume content, you can find us there.
Excellent.
And thanks for having me, man.
No worries, man. I've been dying to get you back on the show ever since we did that interview episode. So this is how I can do it.
Can I say that you were the first other content creator that reached out and was like, "Hey, do you want to collaborate on something?" And I remember going to my fiance fangirling out. Just in general, because I was like, oh my god, babe, these people want me to be on their show, and I was so excited. You were the first person who reached out to us and was like, hey, do you want to come be on an episode? I peed my pants a little bit. I was so excited.
I hope you cleaned it up.
So that's a milestone for us,
that's
for
awesome.
me in general too. So I thought that was a fun little tidbit to share. So yeah, you were the first channel that we ever were on besides our own.
Thinking about it, I think yours was the first channel that we were on that wasn't our own either. I think it was one of our one of the gameplay video that we did as part of the collab.
The gameplay
it was we need to get on this, boys, and I was like, damn,
goddamn gemstone array or whatever it was,
Hall of Gemstones
damn, or something.
Paul is just Anyway, go and check that video out. I haven't plugged that one in a while. Go check that video out. And with that, I'm James.
I'm Corey.
And you've been listening to the newest episode of the Commander at Arms podcast.
Peace.
See ya.